We have a project we have to finish. So I wanted to go over how to do the part two of the project. So if you go into modules, you'll see, the class agenda and you'll see where it says Immune System Project Part 2. And then you'll also see where it says Class Research Google Slides Presentation. So this part two gives you the instructions on what you're doing to finish the project and to take the research we did and what to do with it. All right, so when you click on the research Google Slides presentation, class research Google Slides presentation, you will get, let me share my screen. All right, that's not what I wanted to do. Give me a second, guys. I think I have to stop sharing. I don't know why this always does this every time. Somewhere I have a tab open. There it is. That when you click that class Google Slides presentation, it will bring you to a screen that looks like this. Well, this is my 7th period, so if second period's watching this, you have one. Yours is purple, but it's basically the same thing. It has all the different slides for, how each person had their own part of the timeline they had to research. So I have included that. Now, if you want a full-size screen version, see this little arrow here, you click on that and it will bring you to the full-size screen. Now, this timeline, or this is already in order based on what I had in the list for each student's topics, because I already put it in order for the time frame. But the timeline software that you're going to use anyway will put it in order. So even if you skip around, you need to make sure you include each one of these entries in your timeline. But I'm going to show you how you're going to do the timeline, what software you're going to use, but it'll put it in order for you. But it's already in order. So if you just start at the beginning and work your way through. Also keep in mind that these are screenshots of your slides, so you can't copy and paste. You will have to, and I don't want you to copy and paste anyway, because as you can see, there's a lot of information on these slides. And when you do your timeline, what I want you to do is pretty much just kind of summarize the main idea for each person or each event having to do with like medical breakthroughs or, immune system breakthroughs or whatever. Like, for example, Florence Nightingale, you can put in there, like, it gives her birth date, this one does anyway, and her death date, but really it was the 1860s is when she opened or funded this hospital in which she started training nurses, and that was very important to get like good nursing programs. So that's the overall theme for Nightingale. So that's what I mean when I say try to pick out the main idea for each one of the slides. I don't want you to try to copy every bit that's on each one of these slides, because as you can see, there's a lot of information. So you're just basically grabbing the main idea, a sentence, maybe 2 at the max, that pretty much just summarizes what this person did related to breakthroughs in medicine or discovering something about the immune system. Okay, so that's the research. That's going to be the basis of your timeline. The other thing you need to go to in modules, you will see where it says Unit 9, Immune System Project Part 2. When you open that, it'll bring you to this page. This page is telling you where you need to go to create the timeline. So you are going to go into Clever, which I'll show you in a minute. And once you get into Clever, you're going to look for the Worldbook app, okay, which is going to be in my R. Taylor's page. You've been there before, which has the other apps that we've used. But anyway, when the Worldbook opens, it'll give you an option to use their timeline. Okay, and you're going to create a timeline, and I'll show you how to use it in the video that I'm making right now. But just remember, for each event in the timeline, you're going to have to put the, and most of them don't have dates, it's just years, and that's fine. The year of the event, the main person or people involved, and a brief summary, and like I said, a sentence or 2, nothing major. Now this picture thing, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get the picture to work. I've tried playing around with the pictures, and for some reason they're not showing up. So for right now, just put the events in. Don't worry about the pictures. We'll talk in class at the end of the week on what we're going to do with the pictures. Okay, and don't worry about submitting right now too. I'll explain that later. Right now, this is just a video to show you how to use this timeline. All right, so let me stop sharing real quick and go back because I opened. I gotta find it. There's too many tabs open. No, did I close it? Hold on, guys. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let me share this with you. Go into Clever. Log in with your Newport News Public Schools, account. And you could scroll down. You might see the Worldbook app. I'm not sure. It's just a Newport News app that should be there. If that's the case, you can log in right there. Or you can go straight to where it says R. Taylor's page, and you'll see it in there too. Okay, so you're going to click on this Worldbook app, and it's going to open up. This looks a little different than the last time I used it. So my instructions might not be as clear, but I'm showing you in the video. So you're going to scroll down until you see timelines. Okay, this is what you're looking for. Scroll down to timelines and hit open. All right, and this is going to bring you to the Worldbook timelines. Now you'll see where it says there's timelines that have already been made. You've got my timelines and you've got create a timeline. But before you can get a timeline to put in my timelines, you've got to create one. If you've never created one before, you're not going to have anything in my timelines yet. Okay, so you got to click create a timeline. All right, it's going to bring you to the, this is kind of like where you title it and set up your colors and stuff. So you can pick any one of these colors that you want. I don't know, purple's my favorite color, so I'll pick purple. All right, you're going to title your timeline. It could be something as simple as Unit 9 timeline. Yeah. You don't really need a description. And if you want to put an image, which these images haven't been showing up, so, but you could do a search for an image like immune system. Let's see what we get. We've got here, we have some immune system cells attacking germs or whatever. All right, so that's a good one. So we will use that one. We're going to hit upload. It's not right. Hold on. Why didn't it work? Hold on. Let me go back. We're going to go. Well, I guess it already put it there. So it's there. And then hit create. Like I said, I'm not going to concern myself too much about images right now because we're having trouble with entering the images in class. So, and I was too. So we're just going to put the events in for right now. All right. So every time you want to create an event, you have to come over here and hit create event. The search events is if you're searching Worldbook for stuff, but you guys are going to be using the Google Slides presentation information to create events. So if there's 19 slides, you're going to have 19 events. I think my 7th period has 19 slides because they have less people in that class. And I think 2nd period has got like 21. There was like 21 on the list. So anyway, so create an event. And the very first, like I said, it's already in order. The very first thing was the variola. And that said 15th century. So that's very broad, but you can go in here for 15th century, put 1401 to 1500, because that was one of the things they didn't really, they had very little information on. They had documentation and history. All right, all these are AD, and it already defaults to AD, so you're fine. So in your event description is where you're going to put your information. So for example, the first slide was on variola. I think I'm smelling that right. Actually, let me go back and check. I'm kind of worried myself that I'm not. Variolation. Actually, let's put the Asian on the end of it. Variolation. Variolation. Okay. And this one is more of a process than a person. Some of them will be people's names, and some of them might be a vaccine name, and some of them, in this case, it's process. So what was variolation? That was where, and we have the people involved. It was a Chinese. I don't really want this underlined all the way. Chinese. What did they do? They ground, or they ground up smallpox scabs. Yes, you heard me correctly, scabs, and blew them up people's noses. I know this sounds like not very scientific, but that's what they did to create acquired immunity. Basically, we've talked about acquired immunity. We talked about how you can get that through like vaccines, and this was like the most simplest form of a vaccine, so to speak, where they took those scabs that, for people that already had smallpox, ground them up and blew them up people's noses, and it forced their bodies to create antibodies against it. And it actually took the death rate from like 30% of the people that got smallpox down to 1%. So it did work. It was kind of ingenious for the time. So anyway, that's really all there was for that. You can see how I took a whole slide and kind of summarized it into a sentence. So you're going to pick a color if you want. If you want to colorize it, fine. And then you're going to hit create. And you're going to see down here where my entry, and you can click on that entry and it'll bring it up. And if you need to go back and add something to it, you can edit it. And once you edit it, let's say if you want to add something like, I can add death rate went from 30% to 1%. Okay, let's say I wanted to add that in. And then you hit save and it'll be added into your entry. Okay, so that's our first entry. And when you want to create your next entry, you hit create event again and you do the exact same thing. So you're going to do that over and over again until you have all the events. Again, don't worry about the images. This is where you would add an image, but I had problems with it and I had some other people test it and it wasn't working. I'm not sure what's going on with that. So we'll worry about that later. You have to save. So once you're done working, let's say you don't have time to do it all, but you had time to do 5 events. So you got some events in there. You're going to go up here to where it says save, and you want to save to my timelines. Save to my timeline. See, I already have one that's made with that name. But, and let's see, I'm going to change it. This is version 2. Y'all can see how this works. All right, so go up and hit save to my timelines, and saved. So you can get out. I'm going to get out of here and go. Actually, let me stop sharing. So once you go out, let me show you how you get back in. Get back to Clever. There we go. Let me reshare my screen so y'all can see. All right, so I saved, I got out, and now I want to go back in. Let's say it's the next day. I want to do a few more entries. Go back in, you're going to scroll back down to timelines. You're going to open up timelines. And now, since you have saved one, now you can go to my timelines. Click on that. And I have several timelines that I've worked on before, but here's the one that I just showed you, Unit 9 Timeline version 2. Click on that. And it will open back up. And then you just keep adding events. Just go up here to create event. Now, let me explain something else. Some people were having trouble seeing the whole screen. And let me show you why. If your screen is too big, you see how I just brought that up to 100%? I cannot see that create button down there. So you're going to have to go up here to the 3 little dots up here in the corner. And where it says zoom, you're going to have to reduce the size of your screen until you can see those buttons that you need to get to. Okay, now you can create timelines and create events. Okay, so just make sure you go up and fix that screen size if you can't see it. Okay, so we will talk more about this in our next class. We'll have 2 classes this week, and we'll see how everybody is at the end of the week and see if they can at least finish the events. And we'll talk about pictures maybe, we'll see. But like I said, don't worry about pictures right now. Just get the events in there. All right, guys, I hope this video was helpful to you in creating your timeline. As always, email me if you run into issues or problems.